Major new taxes will be introduced from Sunday. VAT will increase by 1 percentage point to 15%, while a sugar tax also comes into effect on the same day. However, the Federation of Unions of South Africa, Fedusa, says the VAT increase imposed by the government will hit the poor the hardest. Treasury announced last month that VAT will increase from the 1st of April. However, early in March, Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene said that government will continue to hold talks with stakeholders in a bid to soften the blow for the poor from the impact of the VAT increase. The South African Revenue Service, SARS, also said it is ready to implement the 1 percentage point increase from Sunday. The sugar tax is expected to support the Department of Health's aim, that's to reduce the incidence of diabetes, obesity and related diseases. And we are now joined on the line by Fedusa Secretary General Dennis George. Dennis, good afternoon and good to chat to you. Now, the taxes that are coming into effect on Sunday, you are complaining there, but just how will these impact on the ordinary people or the consumers, particularly the poor?
Yeah, look, you can imagine that we are going to face a situation that this tax, and it's an additional tax, because the VAT increase is from 14% to 15%. And that will eat into the disposable income of the poor and of the working people in South Africa. And you can see that the chain reaction to that would be that workers are going to now turn to their employers and ask the employers to say, look, you know, the wages that you're offering us is now this, but please make provision for us also in terms of this. And that is why we argue as Fedusa that we are dealing today with the legacy of maladministration of the Zuma administration. And you can see, for instance, that it was Minister Malusi, which in this case was also the fourth finance minister that was appointed by previous President Jacob Zuma. You know, because the whole economy was mismatched. And you can remember that in December month, he also announced from his side that he's going to introduce free, you know, higher education. Now, you know, a person can introduce all these things, but at the end of the day, somebody has to pay. And to us, it is quite clear that we are now pushing the burden on the poor to pay for these things, you know, that is not budgeted for, not planned for, and it's going to hurt our economy.
But as Fedusa, are you comforted at least by the government stance? At least they've said in the past that they will cushion the poor against the effects of the taxes such as VAT. Do you believe that they have the political will to do just that?
Look, I mean, from us as a trade union federation, you know, we have a responsibility to look after the workers in this country. We also speak for the poor people, and it is for us very critical that when government gets money from taxpayers, that the government has to spend that money wisely, that we don't want to see fruitless and wasteful expenditure. We are a developing country. We need to build many schools. We need to build many hospitals. We need to build many clinics and libraries. And that is the reason why it is critical to manage this economy in such a way that we not only just address the concerns of the poor and the working people, but that we also grow the economy, that we give our young people an opportunity to study further, to prepare themselves for the fourth industrial revolution. And from our side, I mean, I saw now on Friday, government has announced that they're going to appoint Professor Ingrid Willard to be the chairperson of the committee to review the whole list of the current items that is being excluded as a zero rated on the VAT, because, and then government also said that in terms of the terms of reference. But this was not discussed with us at NetLag. And the government is pushing this thing to say, okay, by the 30th of June, this thing must be dealt with and government wants to have a report. So, from our side, we will definitely participate in this process, that we make sure that we will protect the poor and that we will also work with others to make sure that we grow our economy. Because if we grow our economy, we will naturally create more revenue. But if we also create jobs in the same time, then we lessen the burden on the poor and the working class in this country.
Now, the Finance Minister, Nhlanhla Nene, is actually on record saying that they will have a relook at the basket of products that will be VAT-free. Now, yourselves as a Fedusa, do you have any suggestions at all at the exact products that could be zero-rated once they are relooked into?
Yeah, we are in possession of the list of 19 items that has been zero-rated, okay? But then we're sitting with other challenges. Like, for example, we find young girls going to school, but they are having a problem with sanitation pads and those things that they also need. But we also find a situation with the taxi industry. Our people are far removed from the workplaces. And when the fuel prices go up, our taxi industry is quick to put up the prices. But when the fuel price comes down, they don't reduce the prices. So it is those kind of issues that eat into the disposable income of poor people in this country. And it's important that we must do more than what we can to assist the poor. But at the same time, we also need to provide social grants for those people that are so disadvantaged that we distribute wealth from the rich to the poor. So, this is quite a difficult challenge to deal with. And we could have done much better if we had proper leadership from the presidency and from other people. And from us, we are prepared to work with government. We need to find solutions to these problems. And I think it is critical that this thing also be discussed in that light.
And what is the position of Fedusa with regards the implementation of the sugar tax? And mind you, this tax is also expected to promote healthy eating habits that probably the poor will also benefit from. What's your view on this sugar tax also coming into effect tomorrow?
Look, I agree with the studies that shows that sugar has a detrimental impact on the health of people. Okay? Now we're looking at our fizzy drinks, we're looking at people, when they drink coffee, they put 3 spoons of sugar in their coffee. And these things are actually, detrimental to that people that, use so much sugar and things like that in their own consumption. It's bad for them. So if you want to change the habits of people, we think a more education campaign, it's a much more better deterrent than just running and using the phenomena and the methodology of using a syntax, in this case where you want people and government wants to raise revenue, then they put up the syntax in terms of cigarettes and in terms of alcohol and beers and things like that. I think it's critical that we must educate our people about living healthy, and the fact that government just wants to use tax, to educate people, it's not going to, because people are going to pay the thing as another tax, and then they continuously going on with doing the wrong things. I think if we want to change behavior, we need to be more proactive. We need to run public campaigns about this, and we need to get the experts to come and inform the nation. And I think SABC can play a critical role in this regard.
And one final question, Dennis. There are some political formations and some non-governmental organizations that have threatened to take to the streets to protest and demonstrate against this increase coming in tomorrow of the 1 percentage point for VAT. Do you support such initiatives, and do you think they may change anything at all in the end?
No. Look, Fedusa is not going to participate in any marches or any protest action because it doesn't add any value. We see from the protest actions where people march they blockade streets, they burn public property like schools and libraries. So those things doesn't help us. What we will do is we will go and argue our case before the panel that will be chaired by Professor Ingrid Willard. And we will also engage government eyeball to eyeball in that line. And if that doesn't help, then we will approach the president directly to raise our concerns. But I mean, we are not going to, to ask people to protest in the streets, because we think it's more better for South Africans to have a dialogue about the challenges that we face than to go into the streets, and then most of the time it leads to no results.
All right. Thank you so much there. That was Fedusa Secretary General Dennis George talking about their positions on the two new major taxes that will be introduced tomorrow. The first one being VAT, which will increase by 1 percentage point to 15%, and also the sugar tax, which is also coming into effect tomorrow.